Hi, Alec.
Hey,
So, yeah,
first off, before we
yeah, go
start,
ahead.
I want to say that I'm very sorry that we're so late. A couple things came up by the name of procrastination. uh, no, but really, I want to say I'm very sorry to you all.
All right. I'm not. I,
Well, we
yeah,
all know I have guilt
I have,
problems.
yeah, you do.
Of course, I'm feeling sorry.
Yeah, because I don't feel guilty because as late as we are in recording this, you are even later in listening to this because we recorded it like long time ago. Anyway, uh, I wanted to ask you something about gaming.
All right.
And this is in kind of in line of the notion of gaming as a shamanic tool that we've been working with for a
We've
while.
we've been doing a lot of episodes on just this one topic,
We
huh?
have,
On
yeah,
on using gaming as a tool.
as a tool, yeah. And I asked this question in the very first one. I told you I was going to ask you this question, so now I'm asking you this question.
Okay.
How do you know what game to recommend to me?
Well, first off, I know how you are. So I have a feeling of what kind of games you might like. And you like games that touch a sort of depth that other games might not get to. So if a game gives me any kind of visceral reaction of any level, any kind, I I consider maybe I should show this to my dad.
Give me an example.
Off. Absolutely off.
Mm.
And Earthbound
Mm-hmm.
and Undertale, which you still haven't played.
I haven't played Undertale.
You should.
Okay, but uh, what is the what is that depth that you perceive in, let's say, off?
Well, the entire game is not so much surrounded by the mechanics or by the fighting sequence or anything like that. Because, excuse me, a lot of people when they look at games, they think, oh, the mechanics are so good, or it feels so fun to fight, or things like that, you know? But the purpose of Off is in the story, and even greater than that, even greater than the story of Off,
Mm-hmm.
is the atmosphere of Off.
Mm-hmm.
The atmosphere is the most important selling point of
Mm-hmm.
Off. It's not even a selling point because it's a free game. They're not even selling the game, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
And the atmosphere is so well done and so unique, it just sucks you right in. And you're not even living in this reality anymore. You are in the atmosphere. You are the atmosphere. And it completely engulfs you. And there is something profound in how Mortis Ghost has accomplished that.
Mm-hmm.
And there is something in subjecting yourself into that space that always resonates with you. We're always into those kinds of experiences.
And how do you know this? Because basically, you've seen me doing that when we're playing games.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. How do I know that about you? Um, I think it's because you taught me how to do it in the first place.
Mm.
When I before I even went to school, um, when you and Sochi were just playing A Link to the Past, the first game I've ever witnessed, the first game I've ever seen, And Sochi was the introduction of the feeling towards the game, because she does not roll back her anger. She does not roll back her frustration. She reacts emotionally to
or
games.
her excitement.
Or her excitement.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And for you don't really express emotions very much when you're playing games. You just play it, you know? You don't have the strong outward emotions that my sister or even I would have. But
I said bastard a lot. Bastard. Every time they kill me. Or Amu.
Yeah, Abu. That's what you say. But there is like a hollowness to you that I've noticed even when I was very little. And it's not that you are nothing and that you are like not experiencing anything kind of hollow. It is that your body is hollow because your experience has traveled through your body into controller, through the cord, and into the screen. You know? I felt that straight away. Like you hollow out yourself and input it into the game while you are playing. And I think it is because I've witnessed that from a very young age that I just instinctively knew this is the kind of game you like. The game where you are able to do that. Because not every game you could do. You can't do that in Cooking Mama, for instance.
Which one is that?
Cooking Mama, it's a game where there's this mama, she's called Cooking Mama, and she tells you how to make recipes, and then you make the recipes with like the touch screen and stuff, and she says, "Good job," when you do it right.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's super cute, but that's a game that I would recommend to my friend. I'll call her Ghost Kitten, because that's her online name.
Okay.
And I would recommend that to her because she really likes light, bubbly, fun games that are hands-on and that require no, like, it's frivolous fun. And there is so much joy in that frivolous fun, and that is the kind of game that she loves. She loves Animal Crossing, she loves Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley and things like that. They're just unadulterated fun.
Is this the same game you used to have where you had like a small kitchen thing that you put on top of the keyboard? And
oh yeah, that thing was for the frosting. And I like to do the gingerbread house.
Yeah, you made frosting.
I like a lot of gingerbread houses. Yeah. It's not the same game, but it's the same idea.
Okay.
I think that one that you're talking about was like a video game adaptation of Easy Bake Oven.
Yes, I think so. Something like that. Yeah. And so why couldn't I do that with Cooking Mama?
There's a certain... There's not much that you could glean from it spiritually, outside of maybe like, I like cooking, or I like this kind of game, or this is an experience that I should bring into my life.
Okay.
But it's not...
Or it makes me feel good.
It's not the kind of game that you go into to learn deeply about your inner workings, your inner demons, your inner God, your things like that. It's the kind of game that you play because I want needless fun, or God, my life sucks. I just need something good in my life right now.
I see.
You know, it's a feel good game. It's not a exploration of the mind kind of game.
Right.
That is to say, it's not necessarily impossible to do it, but it's not exactly the best kind of medium, especially for your style of exploration. For someone else, it could be the absolute best kind of game to do it in.
Mm-hmm.
But for you, not so much. You could play it, you could love it, you could enjoy it, but I don't think you would be able to get anything spiritually from it.
So that's why when you tell me about a game,
Mm-hmm.
you never seem to go for, oh yeah, my dad likes this, my dad likes this kind of music, so he's gonna love this game, or my dad is from El Salvador, so he's gonna like this game, or you never go for that, right? It's the
No,
other
I don't
thing,
even know what
preferences I
being
have.
from El Salvador would translate to in a game.
Yeah, I have no idea either.
I don't know how to think in those terms. So I think in other terms, you
Uh-huh.
know? I'm sure
Yeah.
someone out there would be able to tell me people from El Salvador tend to like this kind of genre or something like that. And I would love to hear about it. But that's not something that I can do.
Yeah. Uh, what about the types of game where there is no storyline, just okay, Guitar Hero or
Yeah, I would put
Pac-Man.
I would put Guitar Hero in the same category as Cooking Mama, as Pac-Man, as things like that. I'm sure a lot of people right now are like, Guitar Hero and Cooking Mama, what? But it's the same thing. It's like a pure fun simulation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with Cooking Mama, you are taking the joy in cooking to its simplest, basest form.
Mm-hmm.
And just the joy of doing things in session accurately and getting a good job for it.
We spent a great
And
deal of
that's
time playing
with Guitar Hero, yeah.
Yeah.
And Guitar Hero is the same thing. You are enjoying the sequence of being able to do things correctly in a sequence and getting a good job for it.
Okay.
That's what Cooking Mama does. That's what Rhythm Heaven does. That's what a lot of Japanese rhythm games does. The taku drumming, whatever.
Is that like Guitar Hero for drums?
It's like you have these two drums and you have the two sticks,
Oh, okay.
and you just bang 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 bang.
Okay.
You know, they're
Okay, so but
yeah.
in a game like that, for example, you have Guitar Hero, right?
Mm-hmm.
How is that? I know it's different, but I want to hear how you see the difference in being hollowed out. Because
You could definitely do that in Guitar Hero.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why is because pattern, repetition, and consistency.
Mm-hmm.
It's a continuous stream of buttons
and
that you have to
level
play
of,
in a certain order.
and
that
there
you
is an
have
increasing
to,
level of attention that you have
yes,
to pay.
it gets harder as it goes by
Mm-hmm.
in a curved line. It doesn't like jump up in difficulty so suddenly,
Right.
unless if you do it yourself, you know.
Right.
But it's the exact same thing as the Tetris effect. Guitar Hero does the exact same thing that Tetris does.
Yeah.
You don't hollow yourself out for the spiritual exploration of self, but you do hollow yourself out in the way that meditation does, in that you just empty your mind completely.
Okay.
And you let your body take over the motions of the waves of the ocean.
Okay, that I want to hear more about that distinction.
Okay.
The emptying of meditation versus the emptying of the shamanic journey.
All right.
They both involve a similar thing.
Yes.
But there is a difference.
Yes, there's a distinct difference, and there are times when both can occur at the same time.
Yeah.
But the difference between the first one that I mentioned and the second one that I mentioned, the first one, the one that I always recommend games for you,
that's the shamanic.
The shamanic one. It always unlocks a lot of internal feelings, internal debates, a lot of raw energy that overflows for me. I don't know about for you, but for me, it always ends up overflowing in one way or another. Mm-hmm. And it's this strong impact of emotions that can absolutely wreck me for like a day or two. And it's an experience that will challenge why you think things are, or why you think you are this way, or what experience might have caused this kind of thing to be the reality that you just realize right now is your reality, or things like that.
It brings into question the foundation of reality, of who you are, of everything.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And of course you could do that with any kind of medium, with any kind of substance, any kind of training. But for me, I do it with games. Mm-hmm. That's my natural inclination. Mm-hmm. The second kind, the Tetris effect, that would be the meditation. Is the meditation, the stilling of your heart, the stilling of your mind, the stilling of the body, the calming yourself, the deep breathing, the that is to reach equilibrium. How do you pronounce it?
Equilibrium.
Yes, that's how you do that. That's the main difference, I think, is that one tips you away from your balance and makes you struggle and makes you shaky and unstable. And the other one reaches you into your perfect equilibrium, the equal balance. Mm-hmm. And both are completely necessary. Both can certainly happen at the same time. Mm-hmm. But those two different kinds of meditation, of shamanic, of spiritual kind of experiences are two sides of the same coin. Mm-hmm. One unbalances you and the other rebalances you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so gaming can train you to see when you're reaching that balance, or like a biofeedback,
yes,
machinery, and also to take a more daring exploration of yourself and your reality with the other kind.
Absolutely. I saw a video once. Mm-hmm. It's from the YouTube channel Extra Credits. If you're interested in our talk about all these video game things and using video games for more than just entertainment, check out Extra Credits on YouTube. It's phenomenal. They use video games for absolutely everything, even like legal government kind of stuff, which is amazing. You should check it out. But anyway, I saw a video from them, and it was specifically about this one person's experience when he had broken up with his fiancée. And he mentioned in the beginning of the episode that he does not like difficult games. He likes easy games. That's the kind of game that he likes. He likes games that don't frustrate him, that are easy. And then someone recommended him Dark Souls. which, if you know even one thing about Dark Souls, is that it is one of the absolute hardest games that people are talking about right now, or for years, actually. It's a difficult game. And he dismissed it at first. He was like, why would this person who knows me so well recommend to me Dark Souls? And the friend said, no, trust me, you need to play this. You need this experience. So he sat down and he played it, and it was difficult. He sucked at it for the longest time. And the thing with Dark Souls is that you can't rush in. You know? And I'm the type of person who rushes in and fights, you know? Mm. I rush in and I go for the juggler, you know, in games. So I have not played Dark Souls. But I do know that Dark Souls is one game where you cannot do that, because you will die instantly. You need to take it slow and steady. You need to observe your opponent, and you need to do things at the maximum opportunity, you know? Hmm. And he struggled with that a lot. And he knew that he had to do that, but his instinct is to dive in. And at one point, he was facing a boss. And most bosses in Dark Souls is only just one fight. Just one enemy. Because that's enough to drive you insane, you know? Just one enemy is hard enough. Yeah. But this particular one had two. And one is fast and agile, and the other is slow, heavy, hard hitting. And they work as a team, you know? And while he was fighting this, he had an epiphany about the problems that he had in the relationship, the problems that he had with himself, and why it has manifested in that way, and why it is manifesting in the game as his inability to be patient and to strategize into everything. And so he paused the game and he sat and he thought about it for a while. He meditated for a bit and thought and all that stuff. And then he returned to the game and he said, when I returned to the game and I had centered myself, it was like playing the game was a meditative experience, even in this high adrenaline moment where I'm fighting against these two people. And I noticed that these two enemies are necessary for each other. The boss would not be the same if it were just one or the other. Right. It had to be those two for the boss fight experience to work. Mm-hmm. You need to pay attention to both of them at the same time and both of them individually. You need to think of them as one unit. Mm-hmm. And when I found the rhythm, I was able to anticipate the next movement. I was in this sort of trance-like state where I didn't even have to think about it. I just instinctively knew what their next attack would be and what my next counterattack would be. What my next motion had to be in order to dodge and react the best that I can. And he said that this kind of centering thing is what had awakened something in him that made him realize that this is something that he needed to fix for whenever his next relationship would come. Mm-hmm. His problem was that he is quick to anger, quick to judge. He assumed things. He jumped into the fray way too fast. What he needed to do was to take a deep breath and to not let his emotions take control of him, and to instead look at it rationally, spiritually, calmly. Yeah. And that is something super hard to do when you're in the middle of a boss fight, to be calm and to do that. Mm-hmm. But that is exactly what he needed to do in the middle of a fight, right, with his spouse, with anyone else. He needs to be in the fight, and he needs to be calm, and he needs to not be explosive like that.
And that's really when you learn it, when you're able to bring that and silence in the middle of action.
Yes, and I think that is a perfect example of what I mean when both sides of those coins can happen at the exact same time. Because he was at once tipped off the scale. He was out of his own depth. And he rebalanced himself in the exact same moment.
Right.
He found it. And for him, the game was Dark Souls.
Okay.
For someone else, it would not be Dark Souls. It would be something else.
That in every game that you play, that you can exercise that. Become hollow, empty, silent, and let the body, the controller do the action.
Yeah.
So that there is tremendous output of energy and action, but all coming from the center of the hurricane.
I think it's important to realize what games are good for what for you, you know, and what games are toxic for you even. Because there are games that will be toxic for you.
For example?
For me, it's those iPhone games where there's a lot of collecting and in-app purchases. I keep wanting to get sucked into those games, but the thing is that my mind automatically wants to collect one of everything. But in order to do that, I have to either spend a lot of money or absolutely devote my entire life to this cycle in the game that sort of destroys me, you know? And I keep falling into the exact same trap. And I know part of it is because it is completely rampant in the iPhone, in the mobile phone app game industry. Is rampant because it is like the easiest way that corporations can get bank, you know? I don't think many of those games are made by people who actually love video games as a passion, you know?
I see.
I think a lot of it is made by executives who just want to bank off of it. And the ones who do it out of love, you can tell because they are not soul draining in this kind of way, and they don't empty out your pockets in the same kind of way. You know, they make purchasing fun. They don't make it an obligation.
Right.
You know? But part of it is because there's so many, and it's hard to find games that are not like that in mobile games for the phone, you know? But another part of it is because there's something about me that is addicted to that kind of thing. You know, and I still struggle with that. But I know those kind of games are the games that are toxic to me.
I see.
Pokemon is okay for me because even though there is 800 plus different kinds that I need to collect, and I want to collect one of every gender and one of every subtype and everything like that, I don't have to actually pay for anything of that. I don't have to constantly give up my soul for it. I don't have to wait a day for my next chance to get one item and then wait a next day for my next chance to get one item and things like that. I can go at it my own pace. I don't have to pay extra. I've already bought the game. I'm done. I don't have to pay anymore. I can just do it. And when events come, those big events for the limited edition, super exclusive legendary Pokemon, I have friends who can get extras and who could just send them to me if I manage to fail it, you know, fail to get it on time. Because with a lot of those games that are destructive to me, unlike Pokemon, because Pokemon has the same essence as those games, but it's not, it doesn't hold the type of toxicity that destroys me in the mobile app games, you know? And the big thing that destroys me a lot of the time is the fact that if I miss an event, or if I hadn't even been playing the game by the time an event is over, there is no way to get that item. And so that item is lost to me forever, and I will always have that sense of I am never going to be complete.
Yeah.
Because this thing happened 2 years ago, and I just found this game this month. and I will never be able to get that exclusive, super cool, whatever it is, you know, and it's lost forever. Okay. And I can't even buy it.
Yeah.
It's just gone, you know?
Yeah.
There are those exclusives that are there only for like a month, or there are some that are only there for like 2 days even. And then they never offer it up ever again. And that's a trick to get you to pay like $100 for this one item because it's never gonna happen again. You know, and $100 for that one digital item that is just like an accessory.
Yeah,
it's evil.
Yeah.
To me, and it is like the kind of thing that destroys me because
it's like they're playing a different game, and the game they're playing is to do that, to hook you psychologically.
And there are people who master those games. Mm-hmm. They know how to do it with the least amount of money possible and with the most kind of efficiency possible, and without ruining their lives. And I salute them, but I cannot do it.
Well, that's like casino gambling. Like that. There are ways to do it, to have fun with it.
Yeah.
But it can hook you.
It can destroy you. And there are people who can play it casually without even caring about if they miss this or that or that.
Yeah.
They just are playing it for the 5 minutes that they're on the bus and that's it, you know? And I salute those people even more. Because I absolutely cannot do that.
Yeah, whereas the games we talked about before pull you into a different mind space.
This kind of game does too.
It does.
But I recognize for me, it is toxic.
Right.
For someone else, it might not be. And I know that there are a lot of people who actually are in financial trouble because of this kind of thing.
Yeah, it is that, but it's also that there is someone there trying to deviate your attention into their agenda.
Exactly.
The buying it.
Yes.
And that's what makes it more toxic, I think.
Yeah.
And they calculate it to hook a majority of people.
It's to what commercials are to art. Mm-hmm. These games are what they are to gaming.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, I see that.
And yeah, there are games like that out there that are good and that are fun and that are like they aren't attempting to be traps like that. Some of them are traps like that, but they don't intend to be. And you could tell that. You could tell. But the thing is, I think, is that this kind of system started as a way to make money. Mm-hmm. And it's continued to be a way to make money.
Yeah.
And people see that, yes, this kind of game can be successful. Candy Crush, for example. It's humongous. And things like that. But it can also be fun, and it could be like a really good experience. But people have not figured out how to make that a reality yet. Right. It's possible. I know it's possible. I'm not saying that this kind of mechanic that they built this kind of money crunching agenda to is inherently evil. I think it's just being used poorly and understood poorly.
And designed to do something other than what the game is doing. So, choose your games, refine your skills, and try to go beyond the borders of your consciousness.
Figure out which games are good for experience.
Yeah.
Which games are good for emotions, and for what emotions. Which games are good for winding down and relaxing. Which games are good for just having a fun time hanging out with friends and shooting shit with each other.
And know the difference between those and the toxic games.
Yes, and find out which games are not good for you.
All right.
For me, I don't like shooter games either.
Yeah.
But there are some games with shooter-like mechanics that I do love, like Portal.
Yeah.
People would not call Portal a shooter game, but it has the exact same mechanics as a shooter game.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Thing with design.
Good. Thank you. And and in half a week we'll record the other one.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
See you next week.
See you
later
next
in the week.
See you later.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.